For 3,000 years, until Alexander the Great's armies conquered it in the 4th century BC, ancient Egypt was the most important civilization in the world. This week's Ancient Top 10 Secrets of Egypt. The list is ranked by how each entry has shaped our understanding of ancient Egypt. At number 10, the Great Sphinx. The Great Sphinx sits at the foot of the pyramids near Cairo. It is the largest statue ever carved out of a single piece of stone, 240 feet long, 60 feet high, and wrapped in riddles. In the 1950s, new evidence further put into question the age of the Sphinx. There are water erosion marks on the body of the Sphinx caused by rain, but that level of rain hasn't been around Egypt for over 9,000 years. If these erosion marks were made 9,000 years ago, long before this part of Africa was a desert, then Egyptian civilization is far older than previously thought. Number 9 on our countdown can't match the wise Sphinx in age, but in height there was no contest. It's the Pharos Lighthouse. This is Alexandria, Egypt, in the 3rd century BC. It was one of the greatest cities of the ancient world. It was built around a deep natural harbour where the Nile enters the sea. On an island in the harbour, at the end of a man-made causeway 3/4 of a mile long, an incredible lighthouse was constructed to guide ships safely in. At 400 feet high, the Pharos may have been taller than the Statue of Liberty. The Pharos stood for over 1,500 years. For all that time, there was nothing like it. There's never been anything like the Pharaohs before, or since for that matter. Even 1,000 years later, it's still the greatest lighthouse ever built. So much so, the word Pharos in many languages still means lighthouse. The secrets of the Pharos may never be fully understood, but there are even bigger secrets, including the raunchiest papyrus ever unearthed. Coming in at number 8 is a scandalous find, the Turin erotic papyrus. At the beginning of the 19th century, a local farmer near the Valley of the Kings stumbled across an intriguing earthenware vessel. There was something hidden inside. It was an ancient papyrus which shook the world of Egyptology to the core. And this is it. These fragments of ancient scroll over 8 feet long are 3,000 years old. It's called the Turin erotic papyrus because it's kept here in a museum in Turin, in Italy, and it's recommended for adults only. This material is considered so vulgar that we can only show snippets. I've seen quite a lot of ancient erotic art in my time, but for me the Turin erotic papyrus is quite frankly jaw-dropping. Basically, anything that can happen is happening, and this is why it makes it to the Ancient Top 10 list. It changes and humanizes our view of ancient Egypt. This scroll has given us more insight into the ancient Egyptians than any other discovery I can think of. With this perspective, we now know that as spiritual as the Egyptians were, they were also as human as us, with the same desires as us, and I find that kind of comforting. At number 7, a more G-rated secret, the unfinished obelisk. One of the most amazing engineering feats from ancient Egypt. Obelisks were huge stone structures. They were monoliths found all over Egypt. They were absolutely incredible. Obelisks were giant pillars pointing upwards towards the sun, god Ra. In a quarry here in Aswan in southern Egypt is the biggest obelisk of all, but it's still attached to the bedrock. If it had been finished and erected, it would have been nearly as high as Niagara Falls. It earns its place on the Ancient Top 10 list because it would have been the greatest solid obelisk in history, reinforcing our view of ancient Egyptians as master builders. This is Giza in 1954. There was an amazing find here, an entire ship buried in the desert, and it's our number 6 secret, the Khufu ship. The ancient ship was buried around 2500 BC in a pit carved out of the solid bedrock, 143 feet long and just under 20 feet wide. Now, in a specially built museum on the site at Giza, it's the world's oldest intact ship. What was particularly amazing about it was how this ship was built. There were no fixtures or fittings. It was all held together with beautifully crafted joints and tied together with rope. It was a sleek, beautiful design and completely seaworthy. But why was it buried in the middle of the desert? What was it for? The Khufu ship never actually went to sea because it was a funeral barge. The ship was meant to transport the dead pharaoh up to his place in the heavens. It absolutely transformed our understanding of seafaring 4,500 years ago. And that's why it's in my top 10. But at number 5 on our list is something that was an underground secret the size of a mountain. Early in the 19th century, a young Egyptian boy guided some archaeologists to a rock face near his village. He had found some unusual carvings exposed by the moving sands. The archaeologists returned and began to dig. What emerged was one of the most amazing buildings in the world. It was carved straight into the rock face. The Great Sphinx is one of the most iconic symbols of ancient Egypt, but what makes this monument so fascinating is not just its size or its age, but the mysteries that surround it. Indeed, the Sphinx has puzzled historians and archaeologists for centuries. The water erosion marks, for example, suggest that it might be much older than we initially thought. This could potentially rewrite the history of ancient Egypt as we know it. And these mysteries continue to captivate researchers and enthusiasts alike. The Sphinx stands as a silent guardian to the secrets of a civilization that continues to intrigue us to this day. The Pharaoh's lighthouse was not just a beacon of light guiding ships safely into the harbour of Alexandria. It was a marvel of ancient engineering and a symbol of the city's prominence. Local guide discussing Pharos lighthouse wonders, ancient Alexandria landmark. The Pharos was truly a wonder of its time. Built on a small island, it stood at an incredible height, casting its light far and wide. It was more than just a lighthouse, it was a statement of Alexandria's power and ingenuity. For over 1,500 years the Pharos stood tall, its light a symbol of safety and guidance. Even today, its legacy lives on, as the word Pharos still means lighthouse in many languages around the world. The local guide, media, Pharos lighthouse, construction secrets, ancient lighthouse operation mysteries. The secrets of how it was built and operated may never be fully understood, but its impact on maritime navigation and its place in history are undeniable. The Pharos lighthouse remains one of the greatest achievements of ancient engineering.
The Turin erotic papyrus is a fascinating artifact. It dates back to the Ramesside period, around the 12th century BCE.
Yeah, it's truly intriguing. This papyrus is unique because it combines both erotic and satirical elements, giving us a glimpse into the private lives and humour of ancient Egyptians.
Exactly. It's one of the few pieces that show us the lighter, more human side of a civilization often seen as solemn and mystical.
The unfinished obelisk in Aswan is an incredible example of ancient engineering prowess. If completed, it would have been the largest obelisk ever erected.
Oh, absolutely. The sheer size and the techniques used to carve it directly from bedrock are mind-blowing.
Yes, and it also provides valuable insights into the tools and methods the ancient Egyptians used. The project was abandoned due to a crack, but it still stands as a testament to their ambition and skill.
The Khufu ship is one of the most remarkable discoveries in Egyptology. Found in a pit at the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza, it's a full-sized vessel intended for the pharaoh's journey in the afterlife.
That's right, it's constructed from cedar wood and dates back to around 2500 BCE. The craftsmanship is just astonishing.
And what's even more amazing is that it was found disassembled, with over 1,200 pieces, and then meticulously reconstructed. It gives us an incredible look into the maritime technology of ancient Egypt.